Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. Your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports, so you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good. I'll see you in court.
A few moments later.
Last week, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services found Greeley High School, the Maine Department of Education, and Maine Principals Association in violation of Title IX for allowing trans students to compete in high school sports.
And we are back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, people. You know, it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us. Now, y'all, check this out. One of the main things that we cover on this channel is immigration. Y'all have been seeing that over the past several weeks and even months. But if you go back to one of my earlier videos of the year, I pointed out a couple of hot button issues that I said I think are going to define some of the back and forth culture wars that we're seeing. One of which is immigration. But you know what? It seems like well over 50, even over 60% of the American population wants to see our immigration system fixed and wants to see people who are in the country without permission, particularly violent criminals. They want to see those people kicked out of the country. So that seems to be this seems to be one of those issues where people agree. Another issue that I pointed out was the trans issue, and in particular, trans women, men or boys who have transitioned to being girls, them playing in sports with biological girls, right? And basically that issue as a whole. Now, the centerpiece of this entire subject is the state of Maine, right? They are going hard on saying, look, we want the boys who transition to compete against our girls. We are going to bat for that. We don't care. That is what we want. Now, I had an interesting back and forth this morning with ChatGPT. If you've ever interacted with ChatGPT, you know ChatGPT will talk out of both sides of its mouth. If you say this, it'll agree with you. If you say that, it will agree with you. But what I realized is this. This is the thing. I played youth sports for a year or two when I was a kid. And you know the kind of criteria that they use to determine who plays on which team and in which league? They use size, weight in particular. I think I was on a 65-pound team. Y'all, I'm not a big guy, okay? I was on the 65-pound team. They used biological sex, right? And they used maybe experience as well. So these are objective factors, right? So your size, your biological sex, your weight, which would be size, your experience level. All of these are objective factors. These are factors that can be measured, that can be validated and verified by anybody. You know what cannot be verified by anybody? How I feel inside, who I feel like I am. You can't verify that, right? So we've been going for centuries where we have, as a society, not just as a society, as a world, we have said, you know what? We can verify these things. We're going to put this size guy against this size guy. We're going to put this size girl against that size girl. We're going to put people with 5 years experience in this group. We're going to put people who are just starting in that group. All of these things are objectively quantifiable. You know what's not objectively quantifiable? Who I feel like I am inside. Okay, so that is the issue that is being presented here with this entire trans athlete thing. So it's not about denying somebody the right to compete. You get to compete based on objectively verifiable facts that we can quantify, right? We see that you were born a male, so you go with the men. We see that you weigh this amount of weight, so you go into that weight class. We see you are this tall, so you go into this height category. We see you have this many years of experience, so you go in this pool of people who have that many years of experience. It's quite simple, right? So, but because we live in, an alternate universe, we have the kind of situation we have now. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go get into, for any of y'all who maybe don't know, or you just want to rock with me as I explore this world. This is Maine trying to buck the federal government as it relates to this issue. Now, I will tell you that the title of this video is that Maine will bend the knee. They will bend the knee, okay? Common sense will reign as it relates to this, y'all. This is what's called an 80-20 issue. 80% of the people know and can clearly see what's right. 20% of the people either can't see it or they're too afraid to say what they can clearly see. So anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and get into it. First, we're going to get into the back and forth between Trump and Maine's governor, which was quite embarrassing, maybe for her, maybe not. I don't know. Seems like it'd be embarrassing if I were on her end.
2 weeks ago, I signed an executive order banning men from playing in women's sports. Many Democrats are fighting me on that. I hope you continue because you'll never win another race. And it's just crazy. If you look at what happened with the boxing, if you look at what happened with the weightlifting numbers, where a record that hadn't been broken for 19 years got shattered. But, you know, they put up an eighth of an ounce here, an eighth of an ounce there on this 218 pounds or whatever it was that. And hadn't been broken in 19 years. And then guy walks up who transitioned. He transitioned. And he knocked out that record by about 100 pounds. That would be a record not going to be broken again in a long. So we put a ban on it, and to protect women. I mean, the women. If you watch the Olympics, you had two transitioned people that were fighting in the women's boxing. They have women's boxing category, and if you saw that, it was brutal. What happened to the Italian woman was a really good boxer. After one punch, she said, no more. I've never been hit. It was a left. It was not even it was just a left jab. She got hit so hard, she said, I can't do it. They forced her to go out. No, go out again. You'll do it. Goes out again, gets hit again. No, that's it. She didn't want to die. And it's crazy, but the NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is the Maine here, the governor of Maine?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
Well, we are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good, I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics. Every state has a responsibility to comply with Title IX. They have an obligation, a legal obligation. And we'll be enforcing aggressively, and we're going to be protecting our citizens. We're going to protect.
Now, Maine's governor, she doesn't want to back down. I think probably this would be just me. I would think more so than really wanting to stick up for this unjustifiable policy. I think she just doesn't want to be humiliated and slapped down by the federal government, by Trump. So she has to stick up for herself, for her power. She cannot be seen as being weak or ineffective in the face of the federal government. So it's understandable that she has to defend an indefensible position, and she's in the unenviable position of having to do it. Let's take a look.
Governor Janet Mills is speaking out about President Trump's demand that she make a, in his words, full-throated apology for her stand on transgender athletes and Title IX. Over the weekend, the president posted a comment on Truth Social saying that while the state of Maine has apologized for the governor's statement regarding the issue, he wants to hear it from her. As far as we know, no one from the state has made such an apology, especially the governor, who spoke with reporters this morning.
My issue is about the rule of law, pure and simple. It's not about transgender sports. It's about who makes the laws and who enforces the laws. I read the Constitution. The Constitution says that the president, the chief executive, shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed. It doesn't allow him to make laws out of whole cloth by tweet or Instagram post or press release or executive order.
The governor went on to say that she spent her legal career looking out for the rights of girls and women, and said what the president should really be concentrating on is coming out with a plan to fix the economy.
So the state of Maine, on one hand, is doubling down as you're going to see in this next news piece. But as you will see in the last piece that I'm going to read to you, they really aren't, y'all. They're already bending. They're already starting to break. They're really just coming back to kind of reality, I guess, which I predict we all will at some point.
Good evening. Thanks for being with us. I'm Greg Lagerquist.
And I'm Stephanie Grinley. Thank you for joining us. Last week, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services found Greeley High School, the Maine Department of Education, and Maine Principals Association in violation of Title IX for allowing trans students to compete in high school sports.
CBS 13's Brad Rogers joining us live tonight. And Brad, they were given 10 days to comply or risk some unspecified further action, and that deadline is now.
Yeah, right, Greg. You know, the Maine Principals Association, the governor, and now the Greeley School Board have all now said that they have no intention of complying with President Trump's attempt to ban trans athletes. The question now is, how will the Trump administration respond? The federal DHHS Office of Civil Rights found Maine in violation of Title IX by denying female student athletes an equal opportunity to participate without heightened safety or competitive concerns. It also cited Greeley for fielding a female-only team with a male athlete, the feds refusing to recognize the Greeley student as transgender. President Trump has threatened to cut federal school funding to Maine if the state refuses to comply. Governor Mills says Trump cannot cut school funding, and neither can she.
I couldn't then say, well, I disagree with you on that, so I'm going to you're not going to get any more state funding for education, no more GPA. I couldn't do that. This is about the rule of law.
Governor Mills says agreeing to Trump's executive order would mean breaking federal and state laws which recognize trans students and prohibits discrimination against them. Republican state lawmaker Laurel Libby posted photos of the Greeley minor and argued on multiple national media outlets that trans athletes should be banned from girls' sports.
We need to ensure that our girls have a safe, fair, and level playing field, and it's time for Governor Mills to do the right thing so that we don't lose hundreds of millions of dollars. That's what's at stake here.
The Greeley School Board issued a statement today saying MSAD 51 will not be agreeing to the proposed voluntary resolution agreement sent to our district. The school district will continue to follow state law and the Maine Human Rights Act. The federal DHHS office has threatened to refer this to the Justice Department for appropriate action if Maine does not comply. We don't know what enforcement action the Justice Department might take.
The President of the United States to picking on a very vulnerable population. These few girls are just trying to be students and have fun and be competitive just like anybody else. No one is losing in this when all kids get to play.
Did y'all notice that she said that no one loses when all kids get to play? And earlier in the news report, at the first news report, they were talking about that people can't participate in sports for being trans. Is that true, y'all? I thought, and my impression, my understanding is that you just have to play with the people of your own biological sex. It's not that you don't get to play. 100% every kid should be able to play, right? I mean, we don't want to exclude anybody. It's just, where do you play and with whom, right? Based on objectively quantifiable criteria about you, your experience, your size, etc. I think that's what it's all about. Not that you can't play at all because you're trans. That would be ridiculous. Anyway, here we see the University of Maine says it has already complied with federal policies. So Maine is bending the knee, y'all. You know, what we have to understand is states' rights. I'm 100% for states' rights, right? I said that in my last video. These are some tough issues, though. But Trump wants to make Maine bend the knee. They've already bent the knee. Regardless what the governor says, the knee has already been bent, as is evidenced by the University of Maine. They're like, hey, we're complying, and you will see that the entire state goes in that direction. Do I think that states should be able to make their own policies? Yes. Yes, I do. 100%. But do I have a preference as to what those policies should be? Of course I do. I'm a regular citizen, just like everybody else. I have my own opinion. So I'd like to hear your opinion, y'all. Let me know in the comments. Do you agree with me, or do you think that I'm just out to lunch and that times have changed and so society has to change as well? Let me know. You know, let's try to keep it civil. A civil discourse. Before you go any further, please stop, hit the share button, share this video out with somebody, put in their text message, their email, Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat. Put them all in. Share out the video, please. And if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. Again, thank y'all for watching. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. And we'll see you back in the next one.